But today, what I want to share is ecosystems and AI. And let me just move my camera a little because my setups are all messed up. There we go. Now that's making my glasses weird, but it is what it is. Okay, so today I want to talk about ecosystems and AI, and I want to introduce you to my AI because I created my own version, a mix of various tools, and um, I want to share how I started using this system a couple of years ago and how it's evolved into what I'm doing today. And I'm sure it'll evolve again. That is the space that we're in. Things are going to continue to change faster than we could keep up. And we need to stay nimble, we need to stay curious, and we need to stay portable because tools will change, tools will come and go. Um, um, Meta just announced that they were discontinuing their video AI tool, Sora. So people are now figuring out how to, recreate the systems that they've built around using that tool, and this is going to keep happening. And as these tools grow um, and become more a part of what we do, they're also going to solidify. So, some will go away, some will stay, some will be merged with others. And it's really important that we keep our content portable. And what I have done, like as I was creating all the content for this series, is I was working with some content that I already had, some new content. I was using various AI tools, which I will explain. But what I started to do is keep folders in a Google Drive where I can now pull upon this content and bring it anywhere. So I started with taking my LinkedIn newsletters, 55 of them that you can't download from LinkedIn. So I had to copy and paste manually each one of my newsletters. I named it so it had a naming sequence. And then I just put them in a Google Drive. And now every time I do a LinkedIn newsletter, I'm going to copy and paste it and put it in that Google Drive. And once I had them in the Google Drive, then I uploaded them into Google Notebook LM. So I have like a living library there that I can go in and I can tap into that content and pull different things from it. So that's going to now change my process of, the things that I need to do when I create a LinkedIn newsletter. But it's worth doing those extra steps because if I decide I want to share all this content on another platform, it will be easy for me to pull all of that information and have it somewhere else. And having it in Google Notebook LM and having that updated on a regular basis allows me to have a database of my content that I could tap into to create other things. And that's incredibly valuable. This entire series that I have created, 15 days of live streams and accompanying articles, have pulled together those newsletters that I created on LinkedIn and 145 interviews and 18 panels from the Real 50 over 50. So this has accomplished several things. It allowed me to create this content and have like the different parts of my world combined and to like shout out. By the time I'm done tomorrow, it will be close to 100 women from the Real 50 over 50 community. And, and I'm not done. Like once I have, like now I have them all gathered, I've got their sound bites gathered. There's going to be more coming next week of ways that we could all share this information. And I want to share when I decided I was going to do all of this, I decided I was going to build publicly because I want to share the way that I am using the content that I already have, the way that I'm using my own methodologies to make the most out of the content that I have, but not just copy paste, put it somewhere else, but to upcycle it and to create new things and to keep relationships going through the content every time I'm sharing somebody. Some of these interviews I did 3 years ago. So when I'm sharing them, I'm calling back that relationship and I'm saying, hey, your words still matter. And I value the opportunity that you um, offered to me to share your story 3 years ago, and I still want to share it. So that feels good, and it feels good to me. It feels good to the other women, and I just want to share what I'm doing because I think the way between AI and the way the platforms are moving with algorithms, um, we're limited in our control over our own voice, our own content. And what I want to model through everything that I'm creating is regardless of what goes on things that we can't control, we can still control where we put our content. We can choose how we want to share it, and we can use it in ways that feel good to us. We don't have to buy into um, you know the options that are being given to us. We can create our own. So that's a big part of what I'm doing with the work that I've been doing. And I've been doing this for a long time. It just wasn't always the most popular opinion, but it seems to be moving in my direction now, which makes me incredibly happy. And one of the things that I'm going to be doing in the next couple of weeks is I'm going to be taking, because as I'm spending more and more time on Substack, it's feeling more and more like 2009 Twitter, which I loved. 2009 Twitter helped me build a business and helped me create relationships that I still have. I am going to take my 2009 Twitter training and I'm going to turn it into a 2026 Substack training. And that just gets me absolutely giddy because um, to be able to take something in this day and age that I created, that's 15, 16 years ago, right? That I created all those years ago, that's still relevant, that can be repurposed and used as something that's relevant now. That says something. That says something that, and we all have work like this. We all have content that we created years ago that, with just a little updating can be relevant now. And that in itself is a story. So, I'll be sharing much more about all of that. But, I don't think of anything that you have as singular. It's always connected, whether it be your relationships or your content or, just things you're thinking about. Um, it's not just one. I'm going to talk about these libraries that I've been creating. I'm calling them living libraries because they're alive and you can create other things. But I want to introduce you to my AI first. And I call her Miranda. The reason I call her Miranda is that was the name of my favorite car that I had to give up during COVID because it just didn't make sense to have an expensive car payment with a car that I couldn't really use. And my son was going off to college, so we went to the Nissan dealership and traded in his Rogue, my Murano, and we got a very practical midway point Rogue. It had to have a sunroof and heated seats because I'm bougie like that. But I got rid of a car payment, which was big. But I miss her every day. So I named well, I didn't start with Miranda. Let me take that back a step. When ChatGPT first came out, I created Chatty, and Chatty was like a little brain with, stick figure legs and a smile, and she was cute and cartoony. And after not too long, I was using these tools a little creatively and a little differently than other people were using them. And Chatty just did not represent what I was up to. So I created my own version. And Miranda's slick and modern, and she's half AI and half woman. And she's all my brand colors. I created her with AI. And she's going to represent a lot of the training that I do. So it's not me. So I show up as the human and she shows up as the how-to training person. And I'm really excited about doing that too, because I've done my share of how-to training. I don't want to spend my time there. I want to spend my time teaching people how to rethink their relationships with their content and tools that they use. And Miranda's going to handle the training. But Miranda is not just one AI, and it's not something that I created because I'm not a data scientist. I don't want to maintain tools. I'm happy to use the tools that other people build and figure out how to use them creatively and how to connect them in ways that most people don't think of. And I've been doing that for a long time too. So the way I use AI is I use Claude for my deep thinking. I use Claude for um, long form writing. I create projects for different things. So all the files are in one space. And, it's really just focusing on those files. I use it for reflection. And I haven't even dipped my toe into agents and Claude Cowork yet, but that's coming soon. And I'm going to be very cautious in how I do that because, these tools need to prove to me how that I could trust them with my access. So I'm going to do it bite-sized pieces, but I'm going to share everything that I'm doing. And then Perplexity, I love. I use Perplexity for research to synthesize things. It helps me. Um, um, with car insurance. I mean, it helped me like just a couple of weeks ago. I got my car insurance renewal and it was going up $800 a year. I barely drive anymore. I like last year I drove 4,000 miles the entire year and it was like this is nuts. So I went into Perplexity and we just started doing some research. I ended up redoing all of my insurance and saving $1,000 a year. When my son was looking for a job, Perplexity helped me rework his resume and have it reflect exactly for the job that he was applying for. He got that job in 3 days. He's still there. Um, it helped me. I was painting last week. I had questions about which paint should I buy? How much do I need for this room? While I was painting, I was like, do I do the dark color first or the light color first? And, how long is this going to take to dry? And I asked Perplexity all of these questions. It was like I had my brother there with me, who was always my painting buddy. Um, I use for recipes. I ask Perplexity, like, I'll take a picture. This is in my refrigerator. What's for dinner? And it gives me recipes. I use it for dream analysis. It's brilliant for dream analysis. And then because I've been doing all my business stuff in there too, it starts aligning things on its own. And it's like, well, this is what's happening in your conscious life, and this is what's happening in your subconscious life. So that's been a lot of fun. And I use it for writing how-to guides. It's incredibly good for that. And the other thing I use for that too is Loom. On the paid version of Loom, there's an actual like build an SOP option right there. So if you just do something on Loom, walk through your screen and do a video, it will turn it right into an SOP with step-by-step instructions and screenshots, which is pretty cool. The other tool that I use that I've talked about quite a bit is Google Notebook LM. And that is a closed environment. And unless you ask it to look externally, it's only going to look at the sources that you upload. So I've been very intentional about how I build libraries there. It's not random. Like I built the one library with my 55 LinkedIn articles. I built the other library with all of the 50 over 50 interviews. A couple of other libraries that I'm building is I have one with my podcast interviews. I need to add some more there. But I mean, the insights that you can pull from that are amazing. And then I have a group, and I have 2 years of replays from the group calls that I'm going to create something with that. Um, um, I have in 2010, I started building my first program, and I still have all the files. That's where the 2009 Twitter training came from. It started with like one of those Twitter trainings, and I had a PR training, and then I started kind of gathering them all together into something. It was called the Total Social PR System. And I had, hundreds of people in there over the course of 5 years, but I still have all of the files. So I'm going to upload them all into Google Notebook LM and figure out how I could repurpose and upcycle that content. So it's relevant for today. I do this with client work, and I create libraries for them as well. I create libraries for them, and then I give them the libraries so they could do this too. It's really exciting how it works, and there are these predefined functions in there where you can do all kinds of different things. It's fascinating what AI can find with its uncanny ability to identify patterns that you never see within your own work. And that's only when you're using Notebook LM for your own content. You can also use it externally and pull together like amazing things. So, the opportunities there are endless, and not enough people are using this tool. I've been using it for about a year now, and I'm continually blown away, and they keep improving it. And then the other Google tool that I use often is Gemini. And, I've started to use it more and more often, but the way that I'm primarily using it now, and there's still a lot for me to learn in there because it does a lot. All of the Google tools do a lot, and you have to really spend some time to figure out what they're doing. And there are, like, if you're part of, Google Workspace, there are so many tools in their ecosystem, and that's a space I'm going to be exploring more as well. But back to Google Gemini, one of the things that you can do in Google Gemini, in Notebook LM, you cannot cross over notebooks. So your notebooks are all independent little living libraries, right? But in Gemini, you can. You can upload multiple notebooks and use them as databases. So what I did was to create content for this, I uploaded the notebook with my articles and the notebook with the 50 over 50 interviews, and I let the tool show me the crossovers and the gaps. And, that was incredible for creating content, but it was what was the most powerful thing that came out of that is I always struggle with seeing where the two parts of my work, the 50 over 50 interviews and my actual like work that I do with clients, where they come together. Like I always think of them as two different things in my mind, and I can't seem to get past that. But you know, Gemini showed me. It showed me where the crossover was. It showed me how I can work with them together and make them one thing. And that was really powerful. It changed the way that I looked at everything that I do. It changed the way that I looked at my own experience and how I've evolved over 40 years of working and 20 years of having a business. And that was a gift. So I'm still new there, so it's tender, but I'll be sharing a lot more. And those are the tools that I use, and they make up Miranda, and it's going to change. And if you don't want to use multiple tools, and I highly recommend paying for these tools, the free versions, they don't have any security at all, and you're getting a fraction of what's possible. You don't. It's increasingly. Um, it just keeps moving to the point of the free tools will not even let you get into like the realms of AI where the good stuff happens. It's all the stuff just like at the top. So yeah, it's worth investing in the tools. And if you don't want to invest in using, I mean, the Google tools are all included under Google Workspace if you have it. So that's one payment. But if you don't want to invest in several tools, there's another tool that I use, and I'll put the link in the article that accompanies this. It's called Magi, and that is one payment a month. It's $20 a month for a solo account, and I think it's $40 a month for a team, or I don't know. He changes the pricing every now and again, but I'm not sure what it is. But it's a really great tool, and it's access to like I don't know, probably 30 different platforms. You don't get a lot of the customized functionality that you get when you invest directly with the tools, but Magi has like an entire folder system in there, and ways to create prompts and custom prompts, and they've got predefined prompts and personas, and you can create your own personas. So there's a lot that you can do there. And if you're working with a team, it's a really good tool to use, because if you have everybody on your team using their own AI accounts, they're building up their own, you know, IP in those accounts. But if you're doing it in Magi, you're building up everything under one account. So those were that's Miranda, and she's going to be more and more involved in the work that I do and how I show up. And I want to also introduce you to a couple of the women from the Real 50 Over 50. And the women I'm going to introduce you to today are all women that do some form of storytelling, but in different ways. So the first one is Maggie Van Galen, and she is a copywriter, but she's also a children's book author. She has award-winning children's book, several books about King, her dog, her Bernese Mountain Dog, who sadly passed away not too long ago. And uh, King had some anxiety issues, and she used the things that King was afraid of to create books that spoke to children that had anxiety issues. And these books became integral parts of teaching in classrooms and in special needs communities. And what she created is absolutely beautiful. And she's a really good copywriter. Anyway, so check out Maggie. I'm going to put links to everybody in the article. And the next person I want to share with you is Jane Tabachnik, and she has been helping authors write, publish, and market books for many, many years. And following her trips to Paris are always fun on social media. And I know that she's really big into AI too. So go check out Jane. Laura Campbell is somebody that I know for many years. She's a dear friend and a colleague and has been a client. And she shares these beautiful stories on Facebook about her personal growth and her unfolding as she becomes this next version of herself. And she helps women do this too. But her long and detailed Facebook posts are something that I always look forward to reading. Rita Ernst just interviewed me for her podcast. It went live this week, and I have been on a lot of podcasts, but I have never seen anybody share the way Rita shared. In the beginning, we booked this months ago. We had a preliminary call months ago, and she sent me this list of things to do. I was like, is she out of her mind? But I did everything she wanted. I followed along, and then I watched what she was doing, and I was like, okay, this is good. And so we did the interview live on LinkedIn, Facebook, and YouTube on Tuesday. And this morning it was published on podcast platforms. And she also created all of this content around it. The title of the podcast is The Stories We Tell Ourselves. And this morning I got up, I opened up LinkedIn, and she created like this journaling guide with questions from our interview, and where people can fill in their own answers and go deeper into what we were talking about, which I thought was absolutely brilliant. And there was a bunch of other things she did too. She just shared it really well, and she's telling incredible stories on this podcast. So go check that out, and check Rita out, and check out our interview. It was really fun. And then the last person that I want to share today is Helen Hirsch Spence. And Helen will argue with me that she's not a storyteller, but she is. Helen has an over 60s community, but she also has one of the best TEDx talks that I have ever watched. So I will put a link to that, the article too. And she, in her first, I think, 30 days of being up on the TED website, she hit more than 100,000 views on her TED Talk. But Helen has also had an incredible life where she has done extensive traveling and has led, students through expeditions all over the world. And you would never know that when you first have a conversation with her because she doesn't lead with that. She leads with she's an educator. But Helen is living stories, okay? That's what I'm going to say. She'll argue with me, and that's okay. She likes to do that. But Helen is a living storyteller, and she's telling these stories of her own experiences, and they're brilliant. So check out Helen as well. And tomorrow I will be back for the final day, and we're going to share all kinds of goodies. I'm going to talk about how this has all turned into these concentric circles of wisdom. So have a great day, everybody, and I will be back tomorrow.